That time when Zak Brown talked trash about Max Verstappen.
If it's yellow, let it mellow.
McLaren CEO Zak Brown is getting into a habit of talking trash about other drivers and teams. His main aims are World Constructor Champions Oracle Red Bull Racing and World Drivers Champion Max Verstappen. Where Toto Wolff is getting friendly with Max Verstappen again after the war they forged in 2021, it's Zak Brown who's treating the world to some lovely content. Let's see what he said and how it's going now. And as a bonus, I have a team principal who talked smack about Verstappen. So make sure to watch till the end. I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. What did Zak Brown say? Zak Brown was a guest on the Beyond the Grid podcast. He was asked whether he would prefer a star driver or a star designer. To which he answered, well, ultimately, you need both. I don't think without a star driver you're going to win. So you need both. So far, nothing wrong there. A star driver in a mid-car isn't going to win the championship. If that was possible, Alonso would have had 10 championships by now. Then he continued. First, it does start with the car. People ask me all the time, is it the car or driver? And it's like, well, it's both. I think the way I characterize it is, I think there are 6-7 drivers on the grid that will be world champions in the Red Bull. As great as Max is, and he's one of the best ever, I don't think Max wins the world championship today in any other car, other than the Red Bull. So basically he's saying that if Max Verstappen doesn't have a dominant car, like in 2023, he won't win the championship. He says that you could put any of the top drivers out there in the RB20 and they'd win. It just makes me wonder if the well-fed American has paid attention to the wins Verstappen squeezed out of his car in the days when Red Bull had the second or even third fastest car. I made a video about the fantastic win Max Verstappen had in Austria 2019. I'll leave it up as an end screen. How it's going. Enter the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in May. Max Verstappen had the lead in a race that looked as standard as a lot of races in 2023. However, it turned out that Lando Norris in his MCL38 was faster than the RB20 of Max Verstappen and chased him to the finish line, getting as close as within a second. So that was a race that Max Verstappen won in a slower car. I dare to say that Max Verstappen would have won in that McLaren package. Enter the Canadian Grand Prix at the start of June. On a wet track, Norris got unlucky with the safety car, which destroyed his 10-second lead. However, he did have the fastest car, so everything was still possible. Then, when the track started drying, Hamilton pitted first to slicks, and Russell and Verstappen followed. Lando stayed out longer. Where have I seen that before? Norris pitted 2 laps later and managed to come out in front of Verstappen. Compared to the heated up tires of his Dutch friend, he didn't stand a chance. Verstappen won that race while Norris had the fastest car. It was Zak Brown's strategy team or his driver that made the wrong call. I firmly believe that Max Verstappen would have pushed his team to pit him with the rest of the leaders to give him a fighting chance. He's clever that way. Enter the Spanish Grand Prix. McLaren had the fastest car again, and that's why Lando Norris started on pole position. The McLaren driver and team made 3 mistakes. Lando Norris got pipped by Verstappen and Russell at the start. Where Verstappen swooped past Russell without losing too much time, Norris was stuck between Russell and Hamilton for a good while. Then they thought it was smart to leave Norris out 8 laps longer on soft tires, making them lose track position to a bunch of drivers in front. But with a tire advantage. It took Norris a lot of fighting to pass the drivers in front, and that took some life out of his tires. But he did come very close in the end. He would have been a lot closer if McLaren didn't have slow pit stops. The most important pit stop took 3.6 seconds, whereas Max's pit stop took 1.9 seconds. So McLaren didn't win another race they could have won. I wonder if Zak Brown was paying attention to these things and if he thinks Verstappen couldn't win in his car. Conclusion. I believe that with how demanding Max Verstappen is to his team, these details would be fine-tuned quicker and he would make a team like McLaren a championship-winning team. It took many angry radios and meetings before Red Bull started operating the way they have for the last 4 years. Zak Brown is running his mouth about Red Bull a lot lately, and Max Verstappen knows exactly why. This is what he said about it, while also addressing more important people leaving Red Bull. He obviously wants to stir things up. For us as a team, we can't do anything with comments like that. From his point of view, I understand it of course, because everyone is trying to attract our people and that is completely normal in the world of Formula 1 as well. But I'm not really interested in those things either. I see the headlines, but I don't even click on them. I think he hits the nail on the head there. Red Bull is a little fragile lately because of the power struggle at the top. Zak Brown knows exactly what's going on because he's very good friends with Adrian Newey. I agree with Verstappen that it's a form of gamemanship to try and disrupt another team with comments like this in the media. The problem is that it always seems to come back at them like a boomerang. One moment he says Max can't win in a slower car and the next moment he does it 3 races in a row. Maybe team bosses like Zak, Toto and Fred should be quiet for a bit and focus on their own teams. What did Fred Vasseur say? I told you I had another team principal who was getting a bit lippy. I think Vasseur is a lovely funny man and he's doing a decent job at Ferrari, but he was talking about Max Verstappen as well. He said that if Max Verstappen is under pressure, he starts making mistakes. This is what he said. No, I don't want to draw any conclusions about this weekend, but if you look at the last 2 or 3 weekends, I think Max made more mistakes in Imola than in the last 3 seasons. If you can stay in your comfort zone every time with the strategy and everything else, you don't make mistakes. They were in that situation, but now they have to push more. Well, we did see Verstappen hit a bollard. That's true. And maybe if we analyze every single race and qualification session, there will be more tiny errors. Is that because he's under pressure? Or maybe it's because he's a fucking human and not a machine. All I know is that for as long as I've been watching Formula 1, I've seen Ferrari make the most idiotic and comedic errors you can think of. From slicks in the rain, to inters in the dry, from early calls to pit, to the pit crew not having the tyres ready. And this is something the glamorous French Ferrari leader hasn't been able to change yet. The Ferrari team has looked to be solid in second position and were winning races, but recently have dropped off. We've seen all kinds of issues with the car and the 2 teammates bickering. I don't think Leclerc and Sainz are friends anymore, and that's something Vasseur should manage before talking about Max Verstappen. And concerning Zak Brown, he's trying too hard to be a player in F1 like Toto Wolff. He's forgetting that Toto Wolff was putting pressure on from a team that won 8 constructor titles in a row and 7 drivers titles. Brown is doing it from a team that won 2 races in 4 seasons and is failing to win more. My advice is, if it's yellow, let it mellow.
If it's brown, flush it down.
Subscribe. Take care now. Doei doei.